becomes the mayor. There you go.
I'd like to call the November Maumelle Civil Service Commission meeting to order. Any public comments? I would remind everybody that we do have an appeal right here in this room on November 18th, starting at 1 o'clock. Commissioner, oh my God, senior moment, Harvey Durham will not, sorry, Harvey, will not be here today. He is out of town. So under old business, we need the approval of the October 11th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, under new business, we have the approval of the 2022 promotional schedule. HR sets the dates for these promotional tests, and basically we just approve them, so I will turn it over to HR.
Thank you, sir. Quick question for the chiefs. The promotional examination written part, is that the same amount of time allotted for each exam? And everybody is looking at me like I'm crazy. So if we were to do police sergeant and police lieutenant, fire captain, and or a division chief, those written tests, maximum time is 2.5 hours for all 4 of those or 5 of those? Sure. Okay. Thank you. And the reason why I'm asking is just to save a little bit of time and money. I'd like to have those exams on the same day. I've secured the Odom Community Center West room for that, so we'll do that at the community center. And we should have enough room for social distancing if that is required. And so if you all are not opposed, I would just like to have all the police and fire promotional tests on the same day in the same room. Again, I have 1 thumbs up from Chief Pickard and a nod from Chief Azell. Thank you, gentlemen. As far as the dates go, Commission, I just would ask for you to review your calendars just to make sure you're available on the dates that require your presence. So that would be for the oral interviews on February the 7th, which we might have cake because that's my birthday. And February the 28th, and that would be for fires oral interviews. So if you all don't mind to double check your calendars and email me tomorrow, make sure that that works for you. And with that being said, the only thing that would keep us from solidifying the schedule would be whether or not we adopt the new procedures for written driving, pumping assessment, command assessment, and commission oral interviews, those percentages for police lieutenant, which I know that we're going to talk about next. But my main concern, of course, is the dates, and then we can finalize our assessment percentages after that. And that's all for me.
I would entertain the motion to accept the dates as proposed by HR, contingent upon everyone checking their calendars and making sure they can be around on February 7th and 28th.
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the promotional testing dates, subject to the qualifier that I put on there. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries 4-1. Give me just a second. Having to take just a few notes here. It's Harvey when you need him. All right, our second piece of new business is a review manner of conducting appeal hearings before the commission. from the City of Maumelle Civil Service Commission Rules and Regulations. This was sent out by Madam City Attorney, and I think we approved these back in, 2010? It's been so long, I did not even remember them, so I'm glad you did send them out. If you would like to go over that, and there may be some places in there where some layman's explanations might be helpful.
Sure, and I guess I'll just kind of introduce a little bit and then take questions. I did, as I'm looking through files repeatedly, getting things ready, find these, and I thought they would be very helpful to go ahead and send out to the attorneys again. But before I did that, since it had been 11 years since we used them, I thought it was appropriate to at least, and they are technically to be sent out by Chairman Harrington and members of the commission. Did want to at least get consent from everyone to continue with these as our procedures. The primary thing that they address is unnecessary or excessive presentation of evidence, that especially when it's not necessarily relevant to the issues that are to be heard and decided. There's some additional information about exhibits that are stipulated and being able to move quickly through those. The number of spectators and how they enter and leave the room. And then a lot of it is similar to what we discussed when I did the PowerPoint presentation, as far as the order in which we examine witnesses. There's an examination, a cross-examination, there may be redirect, and that is how that should proceed. Give some information on parties being allowed to offer proof of evidence in the event that there's evidence that is excluded, then being given the opportunity to do that, and then of course how they appeal, which is governed by the statute. It's just a little bit of explanation there for the parties on how notice should be sent and that kind of thing.
Let me back up to point number 4. For starters, I think it's important for everybody to understand, after the attorneys have completed their questions, the commissioners, if they desire, can question the witnesses. And it's been a long time since I've done an appeal, and I don't remember being able to do that, but I like it. And I just wanted to point out to everybody that you will have that option after the attorneys are done for each witness. So I think that's good. Would you explain point number 5 a little bit more? Offer a proof of evidence excluded by the commission.
Sure. So there may be a situation in which, if evidence is cumulative or irrelevant, you as the chair decide not to allow it or to direct it to be abbreviated. Perhaps testimony or documents, if somebody just wants to offer some sort of statement or something like that that's not really relevant to the hearing itself. And if that's the case, particularly if a party plans that they're going to appeal, they may want that put on the record. So at the conclusion of the proceedings, they can then they can either state basically what the evidence, what they anticipate the testimony would have been, or if there's a document, they can offer it to the court reporter, or they can have the court reporter include it in the record as a document that would have been presented had they been allowed to do so.
So these would be documents that were disallowed by the commission.
Right.
To be presented.
Documents or testimony.
Okay.
If you find that a particular witness serves no legitimate purpose to the issues to be decided at the hearing, and you exclude their testimony.
And I do want to point out to you, we're not at the end of the road here. If the plaintiff, or the city for that matter, is not happy with our decision, they can appeal it to circuit court. So sometimes you see that happen, sometimes you don't. I don't think it's ever happened here when I've been on the commission, but that is there, and I see it happen in some cases in Little Rock. Any questions about this particular document before we move on? Yes, ma'am?
The stipulated facts, do we get to look at those?
Yes, so whatever facts the two parties decide to stipulate to, They will be given to the commission, and you also take them back with you when you deliberate so that you can have those to review and refresh recollections.
On number 6, it says Human Resource Director serves as Commission Secretary. Is that for the appeal, because Harvey's our second?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, I think we would still want the notice of appeal to be filed with the city's Human Resources Director. Well, I'll change that wording to something along the lines of who will facilitate communication. Or something similar to that.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Our next order of business, we did hear from the fire department in our last meeting. They are wanting to change, I would say tweak the promotional testing and evaluations. Hopefully y'all have a copy of the old one and the wording of the new one. For Fire Division Chief, they want to change assessment personnel to administrative assessment. For Fire Captain, they want to change it from assessment personnel to administrative assessment. And for Fire Lieutenant, they want to change it from assessment, well, they want to change it, period. It is assessment road and assessment pump right now, and they want to change it to 3 categories: driving assessment, pumping assessment, and command assessment. But each of these changes recognizes the fact that there is an administrative function to all of these positions under certain circumstances. And I think that's why the fire department is wanting to tweak this just a little bit to reflect that fact. Is that a fair statement, Chief? We wound up breaking this into 2 sections, and I think it was as much for anything because we weren't sure if we were going to put the same time frame on both of these changes. The first one let's talk about is the word changes for captain and division chief, so that the assessment centers for those ranks may include, administrative assessment. We talked about this a good bit last time. Is there something we need to add to it? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the word changes for captain and division chief so that the assessment centers for those ranks may include administrative assessment.
Did we put a date?
Not yet.
effective
We're
date?
gonna
Okay,
get to
we'll do
that.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll move approval of that.
We have a motion to approve. Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now, on to the time frame that we were talking about. We did have a representative from the fire department last time express some concern that this is happening kind of fast ahead of the next round of promotional testing. And sort of had requested that if we did make these changes, that we perhaps hold those changes, the effect of those changes, until the next go-around of promotional testing, not the one coming up in 2021, but to hold off on doing that. I think there was some agreement that perhaps is more important in the fire lieutenant position than it might be for captain and division chief. So we will get to fire lieutenant in a minute here, but are there any thoughts on the time frame for making these changes for captain and division chief?
Just to clarify, this won't be, these changes will come up in the assessment dates in February, not the written exams, correct?
They would.
There's no written material.
If we approve it, they would, yes.
They could.
Right, but in February, not January of '22. I guess what I'm asking is this part of the written exam, or is this just the assessment center?
What we're changing is just the assessment center, and it would be for January, February of '22.
Yeah, the dates I'm looking at are right here, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think we have two choices if we're gonna put this into effect. The first one would be to make it effective in the next round of promotional testing, which will be in early 2021.
22.
22, I
Yeah.
get my years mixed
Got
up.
here
The
fast.
older I get, the more they get mixed up. Or to hold off and do that in early 2023. Yes, sir.
Division Chief Michael Costi, I think I can help you guys out. Because when I sent the information about tonight's meeting out on October 12th to all of our members, and we made it clear that for the captain and division chief, we're requesting the wording change, to go forward, but we are not. There are no plans to change the subject matter of the captain and chief assessment centers for the January, February testing cycle.
Okay.
So if you go ahead with the language, the testing will not change for those individuals.
So it looks like what we're talking about then is approving an effective date for this beginning on the 2022 promotional cycle, correct? 23. Calculator over here.
Yes, sir.
And so, well, and the only question about that would be if we exhausted the list in 2022, if we locked in at 23, then we're out to a whole nother cycle with plenty of notice. And so by moving forward to 2022, then, because the weights and, the weighting of the tests don't change. So,
Right.
the actual product will not. So that would be our request, is to go ahead for 2022 with the understanding that it's not gonna be a different material change. But that would allow us, should something happen, to already be ready to go and not have to come back before you guys and you'd have it done.
You're confusing me.
Yeah, okay, the way I understood it, and since I have to administer these, I would like to make sure I have 100% clarity. So for fire division chief and fire captain, we would be okay, and there would be no problems with the fire department to change that effective January 2022, coming up this
Correct.
this very next cycle.
Yes.
And I think what we had talked about was on the fire lieutenant, since there was a substantive change, easy for me to say, we were gonna push that off to maybe July of '22.
No. That was the reverse. That was the reverse of what we discussed.
You want, okay, which ones do you want to take effect in January, this coming up January for this next promotional cycle?
The lieutenant is the one that we would like to change immediately.
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, yes. And so by speaking of the captain and division chief, it's merely a wording change. And so the weights don't change, nothing would change.
So making it effective in January and February
Does-
2020 does
Doesn't
nothing.
really change it.
No, it just, exactly. And should we have to have a second promotional test at some point before 23, then it's already taken care of.
Gotcha.
I'm with you.
Because that was what you guys brought up last time, was that,
Right.
what if we had another
Chopper
test?
holler and- yeah.
And that scared me, but,
Okay, so fire lieutenant, you want to change for this next coming up promotional cycle.
correct, yes.
And then if we had to, we can postpone division chief and fire captain until July of '22 or
That sounds great.
January of '23. Okay, if you don't mind, I would like to hear from the FOP representative, make sure he's on board with this.
Maybe.
You're good? So repeating, fire lieutenant would change January 2022, which is this very next promotional cycle, with captain and chief not changing until July of '22.
Sure.
Okay, so the FOP is comfortable with that.
Professional Firefighters Association, not.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Corey. I had a FOP on the brain. Yes, fire is okay with that. Okay, awesome. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, then let me back up here just a second. Let's go ahead, before we approve any dates, let's go ahead and talk about the word changes for fire lieutenant so that the assessment center for this rank may include command assessment. We talked about this last month. Is there any further discussion on that? Do I hear a motion to approve those word changes?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries 4-1. Now, let's go back and do the timeframes on these. Let's just do fire lieutenant first. The beginning timeframe on this would start in January of 2022.
My thought is we just make it effective immediately for the next testing.
That would put notice out there, wouldn't it?
We've done notice, right?
Our rule changes generally are effective immediately, and,
Right.
I mean, there would have to definitely be something, specific, differentiating this from
I don't think we have
other
to
rule
decide which
changes.
test they apply to if we just implement the changes effective immediately, is what I'm saying.
All right.
I think that's right.
I will entertain a motion to approve, well, I guess all of the changes, both of them, effective immediately.
I make a motion to implement the promotional changes approved in the past two resolutions immediately.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, I think we got that cleaned up. All right, are there any additional comments? And again, I'll remind everybody, I know Greg, you are, correctly recused yourself, but, remind everybody again, on November 18th, we do have the most serious thing we do, and that is an appeal. It will start here at 1 o'clock, and looking at the witness list, I think you can count on being here a while.
Don't make any plans for the evening.
I would not. Any additional comments? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move we adjourn.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. And we are adjourned.